Now, page 4, why a devout Marxist socialist is in contention for the Democrat nomination. Bernie Sanders appears to be the candidate to beat. How is that possible? This is the land of the free and the home of a constitutional republic built upon liberty, the free markets, and a fundamental belief in God-given unalienable rights. Socialism strips human beings of those rights. So how can it be that this guy who embodies ideological kryptonite is even in contention? Answer: the socialist makeover of this republic, born of not teaching the United States Constitution in school. For generations now, at best, public schools in America have been giving lip service to teaching the founding document. At worst, the curriculum is twisting the Constitution into some kind of evil white man's decree designed to suppress certain people in certain sectors of this society. For many, many years now, schools have chosen to not explain why the framers wanted to guard against big government and protect personal property rights and protect citizens and their rights to keep and bear arms. And the results from this lack of foundational instruction is constitutionally catastrophic. Gallup polling, 43% of Americans now believe that socialism is a good thing. Compare that to 77 years ago, only a quarter of Americans thought socialism was good. Clearly, if this trend continues, at some point, a majority of Americans will support socialism. So, congratulations to teachers' unions and radical politicians. Your decades-long assault on this republic is working beautifully. This explains why younger voters gravitate to Bernie Sanders and free college and free health care and free housing and so on. It also explains 8 years of Obama, by the way. There's no way that Obama should have been elected in 2008 and re-elected in 2012. Teachers are not teaching the Constitution, so the damage is done. A plurality of Americans think socialism is just fine, which could be enough to give Sanders the Democrat nomination for president. If that happens, then President Trump would have a field day painting the sharp contrast between free stuff versus freedom. So it would be the best of times for re-electing this president, but it would be the worst of times for this republic, reflected by the large percentage of the electorate embracing a Marxist socialist for president. And so here he is, Bernie Sanders, once an entertaining electoral sideshow in 2016, now apparently the favorite here in 2020.
Today, in the wealthiest nation in the history of the world, we have more income and wealth inequality than we've had in 100 years.
See, this is part of the problem here. The reason why Bernie Sanders can spew this socialist filth called income inequality is because of the same reason why he has this level of support in the Democrat Party nomination process. Because the Constitution and the principles that undergird the United States Constitution are not taught in schools. Heck, economics is not taught in school. So when you mesh the two of them together, when a socialist, a Marxist socialist like Bernie Sanders comes out and talks of income inequality, this should be rejected immediately by all Americans because it is an attack on our way of life, on our constitutional republic, on our freedom and our liberty and the free markets. It's a wholesale attack on all of the above. And so Americans should be rejecting this, just as the way I am. Unfortunately, too many Americans, I don't know the number, but it's certainly in the tens of millions, too many Americans don't understand that income inequality in a free market system, income inequality in a constitutional republic such as ours, is a necessary component. It allows people to move up the ladder, the income and the wealth ladder, if you will. If we didn't have income inequality, then people would not be able to go from rags to riches. They would not be able to move up the ladder, or for that matter, go down the ladder. You know, we've heard umpteen stories of millionaires losing it all and becoming broke, and some of them becoming millionaires again. All of this happens because of the free market, because of income inequality. And so here's Bernie Sanders tearing a page right out of the Communist Manifesto of class warfare. He's trying to pit rich people versus so-called poor people, or average Americans versus the so-called rich. This is exactly what he's trying to do. And how is it, Bernie Sanders, or the people who actually embrace this kind of socialist nonsense, how is it that if you attack the rich and you tax the rich at 100%, 150%, how is that going to help, quote, poor people? Sure, his plan is to redistribute wealth, right? But in the end, we know our history, at least some of us do, if we're taught it in school or we're self-taught, and the history is this has never worked. Marxist socialism has never worked in the history of mankind. The redistribution of wealth has never helped poor people become unpoor. Only the free market system helps poor people become unpoor. It's not masterminds like Bernie Sanders who do that. It's the wonderful system that we have. And you can count countless examples throughout our history of poor people becoming mega rich. It's a wonderful thing. But Bernie Sanders doesn't want that. Bernie Sanders wants government control, top to bottom government control. And so he's got to create this class warfare so that people vote for him, give him power, so he can rip the money away from producers in this republic and use it the way he wants. Will he redistribute it to them? Possibly. Or maybe he's got a better plan for it. But the bottom line is Bernie Sanders believes in a form of government where it is confiscatory and attacks success, pulls it away from money away from successful people, and the government instead decides how to spend the money. And that's why we get items like Medicare for all from Bernie Sanders, and the Green New Deal from Bernie Sanders, and wiping out, quote, student loans from Bernie Sanders, and free college from Bernie Sanders. All of this is our money. All of this is our taxpayer dollars confiscated by a, shudder the thought, President Bernie Sanders, if he's elected. And X amount of Americans believe that he should be the next president of the United States, which is very scary. So if Bernie Sanders is the Democrat nominee, then Donald Trump will be reelected, period. And it could be a landslide. But what would it say about this republic that the Democrat candidate for president is a proud, unabashed Marxist socialist? Simply put, it means that we've got to take back our schools and teach the Constitution again, or else one day a future Bernie Sanders will be elected president.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.